Tohoku University, Japan. My talk is a little bit different from the previous talks. My talk is from the technology point of view to use solar energy effectively. And today I will talk about effective solar energy conversion via photon management in some photovoltaics. Actually, this work have done by Asaka Kohiyama. She is one of our students, but she already graduated, so I will present instead of her. All right. So I'd like to start my talk from the energy loss in the photovoltaic conversion. Please look at this graph. This graph shows the portion of the energy that the silicon photovoltaic cell can convert the solar energy. And as you can see in this graph, we see two main losses: transmission loss and thermalization loss. So, even if we use idealistic silicon photovoltaic cell, we cannot avoid these two losses. And these two losses coming from the spectral mismatch between the solar spectrum and the responsible wavelength range of the photovoltaic cell. And to improve the spectral matching, the multi-junction cell have been investigated. The multi-junction cell is the cell which uses various kind of the semiconductor to broaden the responsive wavelengths of the solar cell. However, this cell, to fabricate this cell is very difficult, so it costs a lot. The cost is almost hundreds of times of the comparing with conventional PV systems. So we try to find the other way to get high conversion efficiency of the solar energy using the some photovoltaic. Actually, the some photovoltaic is the system which can convert the thermal radiation by using the photovoltaic cell. And especially if we use concentrating solar power as a heat source, we call this system as solar TPV system. And actually, solar TPV is not a new technology. The concept was proposed more than 50 years ago by Pierre Agrain, and he gave a solar TPV lecture in MIT in 1960 here. Okay, so in this system, we put the intermediate material between the solar and the TPV cell. And by using this intermediate material, we convert the broad solar spectrum into narrowband to match the responsive range of the PV cell. So this intermediate material can be regarded as a photon to photon converter. With this material, we can get high conversion efficiency even with single junction cells. And also, this system has some advantages. This system is not sensitive to seasonal fluctuation of the solar spectrum. And also, this system has a high affinity to thermal storage systems. But of course, there are energy loss during the photon-photon conversion process. So we need to decrease the energy loss during the photon conversion. So this picture shows the typical energy flow diagram in solar TPV systems. And in this part, this is photon to photon conversion. So the efficiency of this conversion can be represented by the extraction efficiency. To have high extraction efficiency, we have to suppress these energy losses according to the reflection at the absorber surface or re-emission from the absorber surface. And also, we need to have the high conversion efficiency during the as a PV cell. So this conversion efficiency can be represented by this equation. And finally, the total system efficiency can be represented by this, multiplying by the extraction efficiency and the PV conversion efficiency. And in previous, some researcher reported the theoretical maximum efficiency of solar TPV. And if you look at this graph, the maximum theoretical solar TPV efficiency is said to be more than 45%. And I show the recent reported system efficiency of the solar TPV system. And as you can see that the solar TPV has been advanced rapidly in these years, in this decade. But the highest record of the efficiency is as much as 7%. But it's still low, comparing with 45%. From our point of view, we think there are two main reasons. One is insufficient spectral matching between the emitter and PV cell. So we get low PV conversion efficiency. And the second one is thermal radiation loss during the photon to photon conversion. So we need to increase extraction efficiency. Okay, so now I'd like to talk how to improve the spectral matching and how to increase the PV conversion efficiency. One of the important things is to increase the temperature of intermediate material and using the narrow bandgap PV cell. If you look at the left graphs, this graph shows thermal radiation emissive power spectrum in various temperature range, and you can see that the peak of the emissive power is shift toward a short wavelength range as increasing the temperature. And if you look at this graph shows the relationship between the bandgap of the TPV cell and optimum temperature. So if we use the silicon photovoltaic cell, we need to have very high temperature, because silicon photovoltaic cell has a band gap at very short wavelength range. So if we use gallium arsenide, this is a typical narrow band gap cell in TPV system, we can decrease the optimum temperature at this range. And if we use more narrow band gap cell, it will decrease more temperature. So, but emitter temperature should be emitter temperature should be high enough more than 1000 degrees C. And also the narrow-band PV cell is essential to have a high spectral matching condition. Oops, excuse me. And also, the spectral shaping of thermal radiation is important. This graph shows the virtual emissive power spectrum. We consider that this Lorentz function to change the bandwidth of the emission peak. And this bandwidth emission peak is related to the Q factor. If we increase the Q factor, the bandwidth will decrease. And if you look at this result, we can get to know that with high Q factor, we get very high PV conversion, almost more than 50%. However, this is very idealistic case. We assume the emission power in outer band at 0. But actual material, it has emission from the outer band. So this result is considering the emission power, okay, in the outer band. Okay, and the situation changes. The maximum conversion efficiency exists much lower Q factor region, because if we make the peak narrower, the emission power will decrease. So if we need to consider the balance between the emission peak narrowing effect and the emission power decreasing. And there are some technology to control the to make the spectral shaping, but at high temperature, the technology is limited. One of the strong candidates is making this kind of microstructures at the high melting temperature metals. but it still takes a cost. So control at high temperature are still challenging. So we propose this kind of the multi-layer materials. This kind of material is believed to not have the high thermal stability, but we found that if we consider the material property and the structure, we can have the very high thermal stability. And at and we confirmed that at short-term thermal stability at 1640 Kelvin, and long-term stability at 1473 Kelvin. Okay, I'll skip. And by using this structure, we get this kind of nice narrow band emission. And also, this spectral shaping technology is effective to the photon to photon conversion efficiency. We usually think if we want to absorb the high a lot of solar energy, we will have the high absorptance materials in all the range. But according to the Kirchhoff's law, high absorptance material has high emission materials. So if the absorber temperature increase, the emission loss, the emission loss is increased. So this kind of step function-like property is the best. And also with such a multi-layer structure, we can obtain this kind of nice step-like function structures and improve the extraction efficiency. And also, the controlling area ratio plays a role to increase the extraction efficiency. All right. And finally, we fabricate the power generation system considering considering such things. And in this system, the key point is it has this is a photon conversion system. It has a Mori solid cube and has a selective emitter. And on top of that, they have a solar absorber coating. So it has a low level spectral shaping, and also it has high area ratio difference between absorber and emitter. And we put the gallium antimony TPV cell around this cubic material. And this is a result of the extraction efficiency. The black dot is a major point. If we don't consider the thermal leak loss, it will we get 75% extraction efficiency. But if we take into account this, it decreases to the black line. And also, the major point, it is degrade from this black line. This is because the degradation of a solar emitter property. But still, we have the higher extraction efficiency than the case of the area ratio of the 1, which is a planar shaped absorber emitter. And finally, this is almost finished. This is the efficiency, total system efficiency we've got. It's 5.6%. And if we don't consider the no optical property degradation, we will expect to get 8.9%. And the right side graph, this is energy incident into the system. And the red line the red color shows absorbed energy. Most of the solar power is absorbed by the absorber. And they turn to the blue energy. It is the thermal radiation from the thermal radiation power from the emitter. And green one is electrical power. So 8.9% is expected, and it is highest efficiency if we get. Unfortunately, we couldn't, but. But as you can see, there is a very low PV conversion loss. So the TPV cell performance is not good. If we improve the performance, we get the 21.3%. So it is very high. But thermal radiation spectrum is not enough to matching the spectral condition of the photovoltaic cell. So if we improve this, we get more higher. So this is conclusion. Sorry for the exceed my talk. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So I suggest the next speaker get okay. He has a question, I think. So yeah, please go. Yeah, sure.
One question. In the practical results, you show better efficiency and lower temperature actually.
Yes.
This is degradation also of optical current material or degradation of the solar cells, photovoltaic solar cell itself. Temperature of 5, we have degradation of efficiency.
You talk about this degradation.
No, I'm talking about
2 slides before.
yes.
This one. Okay.
Here we have better efficiency at the lower temperature actually.
This one.
Those ones are practical bonds.
Okay.
So you get better efficiency at lower.
I see. I understand what you mean. Okay. In terms of the extraction efficiency, yes, the lower temperature is the highest. But as you explained, in here, to get high spectral matching, we need high temperature. Because at low temperature condition, the peak of the summer.
There's another effect which is not taken into consideration in the calculations, that results in the practical results, you have better efficiency at the lower temperature actually.
Yeah, I mean,
And this will be less degradation of the process. The adornment itself might be better efficiency for the solar cell. The photovoltaic solar cell
Right.
at high temperature, the photovoltaic solar cell has lower efficiency.
mhm.
So it might be better to have the lower temperature.
Okay, yeah.